Hi guys, it's Mew2King, and as you probably know, or might not know, in my 14-year career, I've gone through a lot of different controllers. In Melee especially, you have to, especially in vanilla Melee, without UCF or Arduinos, controllers vary a lot, because I'm sure you know about vanilla Melee dashback. A lot of you probably don't probably know about that by now. If not, you can just look up Hax's video about it, or just look up what dashback is. But basically, controllers have something. There's like an X pode and a Y pode, and you want to read the values when a new controller comes out. It probably reads the values properly. It goes from like 0 to 10 to 20 when you move the stick. But then if it otherwise, it skips from like 0 to 3 to 20, something like that. It skips values and doesn't read them properly. The basic point is I had to buy a lot of controllers over the course of 14 years. I paid around, let's say, an average of like $40 to $60, anywhere between like $20 to $80 per controller on average. That's my, I'd say, so if you took the average around, let's say $40, $50 a controller on average, to buying them from different people throughout my whole life so that I can compete as a competitor. As you can see, this is more than half of my controller collection throughout my life. I still have more than 50%. This is it. As you can see, I have nearly 60 controllers here. I'm probably going to do giveaways and stuff on this, but that's for a later topic you see on my Twitch. But I basically have a lot of the tournament winner controllers here. As you can see, I have controllers of every type. I have the purples, the silvers, the whites. I have some that I use in Smash 4, like this one I used a lot in Smash 4. It said Mew2K A+, and it was really good at like everything. But then, as I kept using it over and over, it developed bad pode. So instead of reading left and right values properly, let's say I try to move the stick a little bit. Okay, so I'm moving the stick a little bit. You would expect, let's say I move it from 0 to value 25 or something. You would think it would do a perfect movement. Well, if it was a perfect pode controller, it would do. But as you use a controller, something called pode develops, which means it gets worse. This controller served me pretty well for a lot of Smash 4. I ended up using it at Genesis 5. That was the turn that Lucky beat me and someone else. I could not do slight movements. So let's say I'm trying to do Marth's down throw, turn around, down tilt, and I move the stick slightly to do a down tilt. It might skip values, and then the game will think I tried to down smash instead. You can kind of get screwed by having a controller that's too old. Fortunately, there's people like Nez ModGod and 3Z ModGod and other people like Battle Beavers, many other people also that can fix and mod controllers. This kind of screwed me at Genesis 5, and sometimes you don't know, because the thing is, sometimes the controller feels amazing and it does what you need to a week before the event. And then the day of the event, and while you keep using it, it slowly gets worse. I'll give another example. This is the tournament. This controller is the one I used to win. I believe this is the one I used to win Shine 2016. Not 100% sure, but I'm pretty sure. This was really good. It did a dashback, vanilla melee dashback. It did ledge dash really well. I had good movement overall, and I was able to win the vanilla melee tournament called Shine 2016. I used it again at DreamHack Atlanta. Just before the event, DreamHack Atlanta, this controller was doing amazing. I was able to shield drop on both sides while also maintaining good movement and ledge dash. However, one thing changed about it. During the tournament, it stopped. The shield drop kept getting worse. Now, you would think, okay, well, UCF and Arduinos fix shield drop. But that's not always the case, because some controllers it doesn't fix entirely, depending on how it is. Like a controller that has down drift, for example, might not always fix. And these areas, it's not as knots, because it's kind of smoothed out. It's like most controllers, it's like a clear knot. So like, see, it won't move from this position because it's like a clear like octagon or something. It has like points. This one, it's more smooth. So like it moves around. It's not always going to touch the same thing, and the values could change slightly over time. Some other controllers I have, like I have the Yahoo Rivalries controller that I won, an EGOX controller that I won. I have a lot of different stuff. Oh, there's this really funny controller I have. I call it Death. When you plug this controller in, the Wii or GameCube, it just resets. It literally glitches. It just glitches the whole thing. The moment that gets plugged in, everything resets. It's so funny. I thought this controller was so funny because it does that I literally kept it and wrote Death on it. I think that's so funny. Then I have I'm not 100% sure, but I think this one's the one I used to win the Big House 3 over Hungrybox back in late 2013, which is 6 years ago. And then I have this one is I got this from Nez ModGod. Ned's Mod God, by the way, if you guys are interested in buying good controllers, in my personal opinion, the best person is Ned's Mod God. But on this note, he makes things with notches, for example. I use this controller at EGLX. I use this to beat Hbox. I was able to do certain Firefox notches by doing stuff like this. One hit away from twice. If I didn't SD, I probably would have won that tournament. So I almost beat Hbox 2 times while also beating Nant that same tournament. I won the Summit 6 of this one. It's actually not perfect, but it's overall pretty good. It's not the best at ledge dash, and it's not the best at pivots. But it overall gave me good movement across the board. And for Marth, it's not too bad. Dude, I have so many. And then there's this controller. This one, I'm planning to give this one to Plup at some point. This one's really, really, really good over at like everything, except it's not perfect at ledge dash, which means I can use it at its full potential, except slightly. So when Plup needs a really good controller and he has nothing else to do, I'm probably gonna. And he like a last resort, I'll just give this to him. And dude, I just have like a million. So I can just look at these and just see like. Remind myself of all these different stories. But basically, a lot of time in the past, I would often practice or use a bad controller in turn. I would use a controller that I consider mid-high tier rather than a top tier controller. Why? I did this in Melee and Brawl for years. Why did I do this? Well, the reason I did this is because I didn't want to waste my best controller when either the competition or the pot wasn't at its maximum. So let's say I'm going to like some local tournament in like some Midwest state or something in like the year 2010 or something for like Melee or something like that. Well, you might not want to use your very best controller at that time because let's say you feel confident that you can beat all your competition without using your best controller. Why do you want to do that? Well, that's because as I said, controllers change over time. After a point, it starts off bad. It usually starts off bad, and then you use it a lot, and it gets really good, and then it goes back down again. So it's like this. You want to get it when it's around this top area. You don't want it to get back down to here because then it's not as good. So you have to value that a lot. I did this strategically I started to learn to use my controller strategically based on the level of competition. For years, I was so ahead of the game in both Brawl and Melee, especially with my livelihood of traveling to different events. I would often purposely nerf myself so that I wouldn't be as nerfed during the majors. Yeah, it sucks in the sense that you don't get to have full muscle memory over the controller, but you have to factor in controllers will always change, especially back then. You didn't have like mods and stuff. You didn't have people opening up controllers. There was none of that tech back then. This was the best way this is the best strategy I could execute in order to survive. I also had stuff that was like, I had one for PM, which I thought was like a good controller overall. It did everything I needed to, the good movement, good ledge dash and everything. But it didn't do good vanilla Melee dashback, and back in the day, before like 2016 and before, it was always vanilla Melee. So, as I said, you wanted bad dashback because it gives better pivots. But back then, I didn't even know that part. I just realized, oh, hey, this controller is good at everything except vanilla Melee dashback. I'll just use it for PM, and coincidentally, that stuff's also good for UCF and Arduinos. And then there's also a lot of controllers where I'm sure you guys have had this problem before. Your C-stick does the wrong aerial. Let's say you try to jump and forward air them with Marth or jump and ledge hop back air them. Your controller might up air or down air. Well, that's C-stick code, and a lot of the good control sticks, according to what Nez told me, there's often bad C-sticks in addition to it. So it's like, because of the way they're made, it's usually like made similarly with both the joystick and the C-stick, according to what Nez told me. So it's not too unlikely when a really good joystick is attached to a really bad C-stick. I think there are ways to fix it. I still need to talk to Nez about that. But that is one of the common themes where a lot of my controllers that seem a lot better, especially for vanilla Melee, it sometimes does the wrong aerial. And that's just kind of unlucky because, as I said, there's an X and a Y, and sometimes it skips values. Even if you're pressing the right angle, it might read more properly this way than this way or vice versa, which means that even if you're pressing the right angle, it might not always do the right thing. And then also, high pod for vanilla Melee dashback allows better ledge dash if you're doing the slight down forward method because it allows less forward ledge stands than ledge drops. There's a lot of complicated stuff, as you can see. I'm pretty much a huge nerd on that stuff, and having to use 3 different characters it actually really sucks, especially because most of my controllers was designed for optimizing vanilla Melee, which means they're not very good for UCF Melee, which means I still don't have very many good controllers that are good for UCF for all 3 of my characters, which means I'm still not at like my full ability because everything I've been investing in was assuming vanilla Melee would be forever. So that's why I've purchased so many. That was pretty much a requirement, and the things you needed to optimize vanilla Melee was not the same as Arduinos and UCF. So yeah, I'm a huge nerd, and this is this is some of the stories of my controllers. I have a lot of tournament-winning controllers here, and I have a lot of random ones that I bought. I have them for various different games. This is some of the strategies I've had to execute for many years, mostly in Melee, and then second most in Brawl. It didn't matter as much in the other games comparatively. Of course, it matters in every game, but Melee by far the most, and then big gap, and then Brawl, and then gap, and then everything else, in terms of how much they mattered, for my life at least. So, yeah, as you can see, there's a lot of different controllers, good and bad for different things. They all have different stiffnesses, different stick boxes, everything. If you're interested in buying them or want to, or if I might sub-goal them, like, let me know. I might do stuff like this soon. And if you're interested in also having the best controller modder out there, although it might take a while since he has so many people on a wait list, messes up Nez Mod God, M3Z Mod God, and he's in my opinion, the #1 guy. Yep, this is pretty much my info dump of a lot of nerdy stuff, and hope you like this content. See you guys around.